Hello and welcome to the Dark Mount video review for Transformers Generations Chromia. Chromia is a blue bike. She's a new-ish version of Chromia based on her appearance in the IDW comics as a raging crazy person. Spoilers. She's a remold of the RiD Arcee mold, which I actually really love. This was one of my favorite molds from the whole Prime line, and I think this actually makes me enjoy it even more. So we'll take more of a look at that during the size comparisons, but she's just a blue kind of Tron-esque motorcycle. She's kind of a clear motif going on. The wheels are a little bit different in that they are split down the middle and on these kind of transparent discs, so the two sides of the wheel rotate and the middle thing does not. Which also makes putting these two together a little bit different. Her gun can store back here in her hand, where it kind of becomes a little bit of a exhaust looking thing, or it can plug into, I think, just one of these two holes. The American version has clear plastic, whereas the Japanese version has kind of a slate bluish kind of darker color plastic. Kind of looks like polarized sunglasses. For size comparisons, here she is again with RiD Arcee. And by RiD I mean the RiD sub-imprint of the Prime toy line, not RiD, and not RiD 2015. Come up with new names, Hasbro! I love how we've had however many toy lines and cartoons named Robots in Disguise, and they've never once named anything more than meets the eye, except one comic. I don't get it. So the remolding here is pretty extensive. Calling her... I mean, I guess technically she is a remold, but every single piece on this toy is different, so it's really more accurate to say that they just share the same general design scheme, but they're different molds, if that makes any sense. But she obviously adds a lot more in terms of covering things up. She has stuff where you can kind of see some robot parts through, because she's more of a earthy type motorcycle, and this is more of a Tron-ish type motorcycle. Yeah. So, I love this mold a lot, but I think I actually like Chromia's version more than Arcee, which is surprising to me. Here she is next to the Beast Hunter's wheeljack. Transforming Chromia is essentially the same thing as transforming Transformers Prime Arcee. The back area here is a little bit different. Just a tad. Just enough to maybe throw you off, but probably not. So, first thing you want to do is kind of pull this out. You can kind of pop these out and sort of angle this down just enough that you can press down on here and pop this out. Then you can just swing that up. Then this whole back thing right here is going to fold up to reveal the hands, which kind of slot into this-ish, but they don't actually peg in like they do on Arcee. And then, like on Arcee, you just want to extend the legs down, and the automorph gimmick with the head here from the Revealers line, and this will fold in and click like that. And then she is Arcee from the movies. Except she'd be more like this. What have you done to me, bae? Separate. Well, I usually, just because these are clear plastic and fun stuff, when they're still connected, I usually pop these forward just to try to relieve some strain. And then you want to split. And you'll notice that these don't spin. So unlike on Arcee, you're not trying to spin these to match them up, you're literally just matching them up, which is nice. It's a good improvement, IMO. Fold this back this. Fold this back like this. And then just notice these little things in here. I don't know if that's just, it's probably just the way that these clip on in there, actually. Yep, never mind. And then this back kind of buttress type thing, you can kind of do whatever you want with it. It's actually two different pieces. So I usually kind of split it and angle it like that, so she still has leg movement, but it's not sticking all the way out like this. And this back part is on a very strong kind of double hinge, and you can do whatever you want with that. So I usually just try to fold this up as much as I can, flop this around onto the back. That can kind of go, I mean, that's just personal preference. And you are ready to roll with Chromia in her robot mode. For size comparison, here she is next to Arcee. And you can see they are still very similar molds, but nearly every single part on them is different. I mean, there's really only this one tiny crotch piece down here. These parts that click into the legs. And the part that the head rests on that sucks down into the chest. I think everything else is remolded. These arms might just be the same arms with things clicked onto them, but I mean, really, in the end, they are the same general mold, but they are very, very, very different in terms of the way that they look. And I generally don't own more than one of the same mold. I kind of broke the rule here because I really wanted a Chromia figure, and she's from a totally different continuity. So these are going to be on totally different shelves. So, oh well, I broke my rule once. Sue me. For size comparison, again, here she is with a couple random third-party figures I'm going to be reviewing soon. Ulrich from Unique Toys and Whirlwind from Orbitron. So she's pretty tiny compared to them. Articulation for Chromia is very good. She's a ball-jointed head with full range of motion. Very, very, very expressive ball joints on her arms. Ball joints for her elbows, and ball joints on her hand that can also go up like this for some reason. Even though you don't need to actually do that for anything at all. She has her transformation pelvic thrust joint, which requires some unpegging. And she has ball jointed hips with hip rotations as well. This back stuff gets in the way of her articulation a bit, but if you keep it angled out, which doesn't really make any more space than you're already taking up, you get a lot of articulation there. She has very good knees, and you don't really get any foot articulation, but if you push this thing out, you can kind of angle this foot a little bit. But that's all transformation stuff. And her head sculpt definitely looks very Chromia from the comics. They did a very good job capturing her visage. She definitely looks like Chromia. My thoughts on this figure are very positive. I like the fact that she can store her gun in her hand. I like the fact that, unlike the original Arcee mold, you don't have to turn her arms like this to transform her, so you're not going to be wearing out these ball joints, and you can just kind of use her elbow joints naturally right out of transformation, which is always a plus. I like the fact that these are single panels now, so that you don't have to try to match the wheels up when you're transforming. I wish they could have figured something to do with this out that would have been a little nicer. This shield part in the comics does kind of disconnect and become a shield thing for her arm, so it would have been nice if they could have figured out a way to, I don't know, that this like slotted out or something and this could fold into this little well like that, because that would have been very nice, but oh well. Other than that, she's a really good figure. This little thing, if you have it pressed all the way down, tends to kind of get in the way of her articulation. And that's a shame, but it's not that big of a deal because you can have it pushed up. And with all this other junk up here, it's not like you're saving all that much room by pushing this stuff up because you're still dealing with all of this stuff. So having this out a little bit doesn't really make a huge difference, and it gives you all of the articulation. So all of the things. I really do just genuinely feel like this is a mold that I already really liked, and they basically just made a couple tweaks to it that makes it even better, and it's for a character that I think is pretty new in a comic that is new, that I think is pretty cool, in a comic that I enjoy a lot. So there's a lot of good things going on with this figure, and I highly recommend it. And thank you guys for watching, and I'll see you next time for Arcee herself.